Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to a very special episode of 80's Wrestling, the podcast. Today marks a brand new chapter as we officially go live from the brand new 80's Wrestling, the podcast studio and our new home on YouTube. Same love for the golden era, same real conversations, just a brand new way to bring this show directly to all of you. If you're listening live via iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, thank you so much for taking us along with you. If you happen to be listening live via our new 80's Wrestling the Podcast YouTube page, jump into the chat room. At the top is a message pinned with the link to get on the air with us. And we're kicking things off today in a very big way. Today's topic, 80's Wrestling Con and beyond. We'll be talking wrestling conventions, fan experiences, meeting legends, autograph memories, and all the behind-the-scenes stories. We'll also discuss some of our favorite convention moments, unforgettable fan interactions, rare collectibles, and why the connection between wrestling fans and the legends of the golden era remains stronger than ever. Plus, joining us later on this morning is a man who has seen it all, lived it all. Our special guest later on, Dangerous Danny Davis. All that and more on this live episode of 80's Wrestling, the podcast. My name, Jumpin Jay, and joining me, a man who just wrapped up his latest installment of 80's Wrestling Con and somehow already has the next one in the works. The one, the only, the ConFather, Mr. Tommy Fierro. Tommy, good morning, brother. What is going on today?
Jumpin Jay, good morning, and good morning to our new home here, 80's Wrestling, the podcast. I'm excited for this new chapter of 80's Wrestling, the podcast, because now we are able to have guests joining us live on our show. And today, I promised last week that we'd be having our first guest, and it's going to be Dangerous Danny Davis, the most hated referee in the history of professional wrestling. He will be joining us at the 10:30 a.m. Eastern time time slot. He is going to be a part of our upcoming 80's Wrestling Con in New Jersey, and it's an easy date to remember, Jumpin Jay. It's going to be on Halloween from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Parsippany PAL in Parsippany, New Jersey. Yes, I wasted no time because this past last weekend was awesome. Really big turnout. People were really excited. A lot of cool things. Coco Beware was up on stage and he sung Pile Driver live. We had the All-American Boys performed live by Jacques and Raymond, the fabulous Rougeau brothers. I'm going to post both of them, by the way, today on 80's Wrestling Con's social media pages. So if you weren't there and didn't get a chance to see it, I will post both videos today on the 80's Wrestling Con social media channel. So whether that be Facebook, Instagram, or X, give me a couple hours after the show drops live, and I will get those up so you guys can check them out. We also had a live question and answer session with Ken Patera, which I'm sure Jumpin Jay, was very entertaining. We had a lot of cool things, man, and I'll tell you what, it was a great turnout, and we are excited already to do the next one. Again, it's going to be this Halloween. It's going to be at the Parsippany PAL in Parsippany, New Jersey. Already signed to appear on this one. This is a rare one. I know you're excited for this one, Jumpin' Jay. Sean Mooney will make a super rare appearance here in New Jersey at 80's Wrestling Con Halloween. Also, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Terry Taylor, another super rare one. I'm very excited to have him. Bushwhacker Luke's going to be in the house. The Masked Superstar will be there. Dangerous Danny Davis, like I just mentioned, is going to be joining us on this show in just a little bit. Tony Garea will also be there along with Papa Shango, which is a great one on Halloween, having Papa Shango in character, by the way. He's going to have the makeup on. It's going to be a super cool photo op for you on Halloween. Typhoon, Shockmaster, and he will be there as well. He's also bringing Jumpin' Jay. He's bringing the Shockmaster helmet to 80's Wrestling Con Halloween. So another really super cool photo op there. Also, Bobby Fulton and Johnny Ace will be in the house as well. John Laurinaitis. Now, this could be a super cool photo op. Also, Jumpin Jay, as you know, the Sheep Herders and the Fantastics had a bloody feud back in the '80s, and we're going to do a group photo op opportunity with Bushwhacker Luke, Johnny Ace, and who is the flag bearer for the Sheep Herders, along with Bobby Fulton. And we're working on more names as we speak. Many more might be able to drop as early as today. And advance tickets are available now on 80'swrestlingcon.com, and meet and greet packages will be available this Monday on Memorial Day. So we'll be working on getting them up on the website over the weekend. But yeah, we're jumping right back into it, and we're doing some fun things here at Jumpin Jay as well. We already just announced that we're going to be doing since it's Halloween, you got to do, I'm sure the cosplay is going to be out of control on Halloween. So we are doing a $500 cash prize to the winner for our Halloween costume contest at 80's Wrestling Con. $500 cash prize. We're also going to be bringing in a bunch of pumpkins. We're going to have a contest where you can paint your own pro wrestling pumpkin, and the winner is going to get a big gift basket from the Wrestling Collector, which is going to have a bunch of signed stuff in there, including a signed belt as well. We'll be giving you more information on that as well. The Masked Superstar, as you know, I said, is going to be there, who is Bill Eadie. So he will be doing the Masked Superstar, and then he'll take a quick break. He's going to come back as Demolition Axe, and you can have the opportunity. This is really unique. You can have the opportunity to get your face painted as Demolition by Demolition Axe at 80's Wrestling Con on Halloween. We're working on more stuff right now as well, but this is the news that we've dropping so far. It's going to be a big one. I'm excited.
Unbelievable. And part of the perk of being on our new YouTube page is we can have graphics on the screen. So right now people are seeing the graphics for 80's Wrestling Con Halloween. They're seeing all the guys that are going to be there. Quick housekeeping note: if you're joining us via the YouTube Live, when you click on into our studio, you can turn your camera off. We're doing audio callers only. And if you're in our backstage area, if you hit the comment section on the app there, then you'll still see the live YouTube chat that's going on. You can still participate in that. Tommy, before we jump into the Wrestling Collector Slam line, because it's stacked and packed, I'm thrilled that so many of the loyal listeners have made the jump to our YouTube page with us. Give me just a short synopsis of 80's Wrestling Con this past weekend from the eyes of the promoter. How did everything go for you, brother?
Smooth, man. Really, really smooth. Everyone got in okay. There was no issues, no problems. Now, we had just because this is our new building where we do 80's Wrestling Con at. We were just there in February and returned again this past weekend. So it was only a couple months gap in between conventions. Now, we had Ted DiBiase. Now, this is something I want to mention. So we had Ted DiBiase booked in the February one. Now, we originally had Jerry Lawler booked for the May one, but after like a week, there was a scheduling conflict. He screwed up his booking, and he had to cancel off of our event. Jerry Lawler's a big 80's name, so you needed someone, that has a decent 80's name to take his place. So I got Ted to do it again. I'm very surprised. Well, I'm not very surprised. Ted DiBiase did awesome in February. He might have even did better last weekend. So it doesn't matter. It's the same building, only a couple months away. Guys like this, because there's just so much merchandise out on someone like Ted. They're still producing new merchandise of Ted. But these fans are just diehard collectors. So I guarantee if we had him again in October, he would kill it again, because these fans are diehard collectors. So if they know he's going to be back, they're going to go on eBay and pick up another figure or a trading card or another piece of memorabilia that they can get signed. And I think, and the reason why I'm doing these 80's Wrestling Cons so frequently now, and then also we are going to be 100% branching off into different areas as well. And if you're a promoter listening to this, or a fan that is tight with a promoter in your state, have them reach out to me, because we are taking 80's Wrestling Con on the road 100%. These gentlemen, obviously, as everyone knows, they're not getting any younger, right? So there's only so many opportunities left to meet these legends of the squared circle. And I am going to ride the 80's wave as long as I could, because fans want to have the opportunity to meet their childhood heroes soon. And I can always go back to '90s kind of, and I will. I will definitely do another '90s wrestling convention, but uh, the time is now because fans know there's only so many more opportunities to meet these legends and getting them all together in the same place at the same time. Like, granted, you Slaughter and Jake and Ted, Beefcake. These guys are busy and they do a lot of signings, whether it be at Comic Cons or other events, but to get everyone together in one building, like we even had this past weekend, we had the fans on stage singing "If You Only Knew," and it was super cool. Like, it's all '80s themed, so like you literally, if you've never been to '80s WrestleCon before, I can't stress enough. You have 5 months to plan this. Come on out for a Halloween show. It's gonna be super cool. And literally, you're walking into your childhood when you show up here. Everything is '80s wrestling. All the tables, merchandise, all throwback merchandise. The stage shows that we do. It's really, 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 really unique. It's really different. It's not just, and I said this last week, it's not just a meet and greet. It's an experience. It's because we have all different activities throughout the day. It's just really cool. Everything went really smooth, and repeat guests in the same location 3 months later. It didn't matter because a lot of new fans came. We definitely had more fans this time than the one in February, and I'm sure the one in October is going to be more people. So I don't believe it matters if someone's been there already. I think that fans just get so excited to see their childhood heroes again that they come out again and grab another piece of merchandise or a different autograph picture or what have you. So if you've never been there, I can't stress enough. If you're listening, if you're a fan of this podcast, I know we have a lot of listeners. Mark your calendars. It's an easy date to remember. Halloween in New Jersey at Parsippany PAL. '80s Wrestling Con Halloween. It's gonna be super cool.
Well, I'm glad everything went well this weekend. We'll be joined by Dangerous Danny Davis in just about 15 minutes. Until then, we want to get the callers. We want to get your experiences at these conventions. Did you get anything signed? Who'd you meet? Tell us about it. And up first, our very first YouTube live phone call. It's time to head to the firehouse. It's time for firefighter Brian. Brian, good morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning.
Brother.
Hey, I gotta tell you something real quick. So I had someone came in. I'm not sure if they came into my store last week or they told me at the convention. Oh, it was at the convention actually. At the convention, someone said, "Hey," and I know this guy. I didn't even know that he was a listener of the podcast. He says, I can't wait to Thursdays every week. I listen to '80s Wrestling Podcast. Absolutely love it." And he goes, "My favorite caller, I swear to God, I'm not making this up, Jumpin Jay." He said, "My favorite caller is firefighter Brian."
Oh, that's weird. I believe it. Jay told me the same thing 2 years ago when we were there. That means a lot. You have no idea who he was, do you? His name or anything?
He was your
I can't
brother.
remember who said it to me, but someone said it to me 100%.
Oh, all right. Only because I would thank him personally on here. That really, well, listen, I really appreciate. And it wasn't a Stromboli sister. How do you like that? Bullies are my number one fans, but apparently I got more. And that really whoever said that, that really means a lot, and it's a pleasure. I'm sure the feelings are mutual among other people who are listening to this, but it's a pleasure and an honor and a privilege to a trivia, the answer to a trivia question from now until the end of the time. Who was the first caller on the YouTube platform? So I will go down in history for that at least. So at least I accomplished one thing in my life.
Yeah, very first caller. It goes down in the history books. It'll probably be the answer to a trivia question on a future episode. Brian, I know you've been to Tommy's '80s wrestling cons. You may have been to other wrestling conventions. Give me, from
Yes.
a fan's perspective, what you think about these type of gatherings.
They're fun. Listen, some are better than others in the sense that how they're organized, how they're spread out, how yeah, some better than others, absolutely. But the ones that I've been to since I made my wrestling figure come back in 21, most of them are run very well, and Tommy's is run very well. I have very, I've been to two of them. I was at let's say the last one was when my wife was pregnant, and that was 2 years ago. So I was there in 24 and 23, and I have very fond memories of both because 23 will always have a place in my heart because that was the first time when I met a lot of you. I met you, Jay. I met Babyface. I met Totowa. I met Danny from Butler. The Strombolis were there. It was a great time, and the probably my favorite part was somebody was with me who I never thought would come to anything wrestling related with me, and that was my wife. And I know I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record. I apologize, but it just to show you the impact of that day the picture of us, the two of us with Bret Hart, and the picture of Sergeant Slaughter hugging my wife are both framed and on my coffee table, and they're not going anywhere. And then the next year, I had stopped collecting by then. I just had no choice. And I went the next year basically just to see everybody. I wasn't going to, meet wrestlers. I wasn't going to get anything signed. I wasn't going for any pictures. I was just going for the spectacle. And I was even thinking to myself on the way there, I hope I'm able to keep myself occupied the whole time. And oh my God, it went so fast. I had a blast. And that's when I met Matt from Boston and a few other people. So it's really a great time. Everybody is and all the Tommy. You have a way. I'm not gonna lie. I've met some wrestlers who were a complete waste of my time. I'm sure we all have. Hell, Tommy, I know you have. Okay, um, but you get guys. I've never had a problem with any wrestler, any talent there. It really is a good time. And Tommy, you say this a lot, and I want to say this because I want everybody to know this. What you try to do is some conventions have multiple like big stars, okay, which is great. The problem with that is the fans aren't going to be able to meet as many wrestlers as they would like because the lines can get so crazy. You try to have one headliner because that frees up space. Okay, so you like with Bret Hart. At one point, the Bret Hart line was like 2, 3 hours long. Okay, but that was the only long line you had. Everybody else you get done in minutes, if not seconds. So it's really well done. Now listen, there's a reason he's called the ConFather. He does an excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friend. And let me just add, and I'm only asking you this on here because you did put it on social media. Okay. Um, can you what exactly happened with Mil Mascaris? And if you
Well,
can't get
Mill.
into that, that's fine.
No. I can get into it. So what happened was he was supposed to be at 80's Wrestling Con. He wasn't my guest. He was a vendor guest. But
Right.
obviously, we were heavily promoting him because this was his first, United States appearance in many many years. And
Right.
I'd say a couple months before the convention, I had gotten a message from someone I know who said that he was friends with Mil Mascaris' agent, and that Mil Mascaris knew nothing about the date. So now the guy that was booking Mil Mascaris is a personal friend of Mills who's used him every time he's been over here. So I told him, I says, well, that's because Mill booked directly with him. It wasn't through the agent. It was he called him up directly. So I told him to tell his agent he booked him directly, and I had no reason not to think so because this guy's used Mill several times in the past and gotten him over here. So then a week before, not even a week before, 3 days before the convention, I get a call from the gentleman that was bringing in Mil Mascaris, and he's saying, "Oh, Mill called me and said that he can't come because he fell and he hurt his hand. And he can't sign autographs, and he has to reschedule." So I don't know. I just had a. He says I don't know the way he said it was kind of felt a little weird, so I did a little digging. So I reached back out to the guy that originally reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you find out from your guy if Mill fell and hurt his hand and he can't be here this weekend? Because if he can't, he can't. Like he can.
Right.
If he really did get hurt, he can send a video saying, sorry, we're hurt, can't make it. I mean, people are gonna understand, right? So the guy gets back to me and says that Mill still knows nothing about the date and that he didn't fall on he's fine. So now I know shit's not adding up now. So I reach back out to my guy and I say, hey, listen, this guy's saying that he doesn't know about the convention center and his hand's fine. I go, can you get him on the phone and like just figure out a way to record it so we know that our ass is covered and we know we can let the fans know he's bullshitting. Sure enough, he was able to get him on the phone, and I posted that last week on 80's Wrestling Con's social media, and you can even hear in a conversation like he said he's fine. I said everything is fine, and then when he goes, "Well, you're gonna come to New Jersey then?" And then you hear Mil Mascaras laugh. So the whole thing was bullshit. But then I found out after the fact that this has happened many, many, many times in the past with Mil Mascaras and appearances. So when I posted it, I was actually a little concerned about it because I knew that people were really excited that he was going to be there. But after I posted it and started reading all the comments, people weren't surprised and they were kind of shitting on him. And listen, covered our ass. And then at the convention, maybe one person asked her where he was. Other than that, no one even gave a crap.
Listen, I'm glad it at least ended harmlessly. Listen, I you advertised the convention. I was pleasantly surprised. Was like you said, rarely comes around, at least in this area. It's very rare. He's not like you say. They're not getting any younger. He's got to be in his 80s. Mil Mascaras. And the thing is, he's unfortunately he has a reputation for being difficult to work with. Mick Foley and Have a Nice Day did really nice to write about him. The I was Triple A. I forget what promotion it was that had a very short-lived relationship with the WWF in the mid to like around the Attitude Era, right before the Attitude Era, in the mid to late '90s. They brought in guys like Mill, Piero, Cibernetico, Octagon, Garza, Latin Love, and the list goes on and on and on. And it didn't. That's when they had Super Astros. It didn't last too long, and he was apparently a big part of why it didn't last too long. But and he is. I've been. I don't know if you guys have been to Mexico. I've been to Mexico. He and El Santo are the two of the biggest, are as big a household name as anybody in Mexico. And it's just a shame that he has such a bad reputation of being difficult to work with. And but you know what? We focus on the positives. There's a lot of good people that you get there, and I'm really happy to hear that everything went well. As you know, Tommy, a good friend of mine, is a vendor and goes to all works at all conventions. He said it was a great turnout, a lot of enthusiasm, and it was a great job. And I just, what, as I part ways today, I want to ask you guys a question, and I want all the callers to answer this question. Who is the first wrestler you actually met? Like the first wrestler you got an autograph from, or a picture from, or shook a hand? Who was that first wrestler? And my first wrestler, and I'm really proud of this because he was horrifically underrated. And unfortunately, he left us a few years ago, and that was Tracy Smothers. I was at an ECW show in Astoria, Queens, at the Elks Lodge, and any ECW wrestler, Bubba Ray Dudley, the Meanie, any of them will tell you their favorite place to wrestle in ECW was, of course, the ECW arena in Philly. Their second is the Elks Lodge in Queens. It was insane. And my first ECW show, we had first row at the Elks Lodge, and as we were leaving, Tracy Smothers comes off an elevator, and I had a sign with I had a sign with me that I brought to Raw, and I brought DCW because she made the move DCW. It said it was a Tammy Lynn Sitch sign, a Sunny sign. Eat at Sunny's, and in a different color, it said "Try the fish." And I had a bunch of wrestlers sign it. He was the first wrestler to sign it, and I thought it was pretty cool. Who was the first wrestler you guys met?
Tom, I'm gonna
First,
let you answer this first, brother. You grew up with Snuka, so like, who was the first guy you met?
the first, it wasn't a wrestler, but the first wrestling personality I met was after a show that my mom took me to at William Patterson College in Wayne, New Jersey for the WWF. It was a little C show that they did. And after the show, there was a pizzeria called Brother Bruno's that was across the street from William Patterson College. So we went across the street after the show to get a slice of pizza, and Dick Worley, the referee, was online. So I got a chance to get a picture with Dick Worley and an autograph from him. And that was the first wrestling personality that I ever met, Jumpin Jay.
That's a good one. That's another answer to maybe a future trivia question. I honestly don't remember. It sounds horrible. I don't remember the actual first wrestler that I met. My uncle would take me to local shows. We were the C or the D town here in my hometown, and so I would meet guys that were lower on the card. The first one that I actually like remember visiting and talking with and being excited about running into was Sergeant Slaughter when he came to a local, very minor league baseball game in my hometown. And I remember
that. I remember that story.
Yeah, being very excited to meet him and talk to him. But yeah, I met others when I was younger, but I really don't have too vivid of a memory. We are just a few moments away from Dangerous Danny Davis joining us, but the Wrestling Collector Slam line is still stacked and packed, Tommy. And that's why we wait the arrival of Dangerous Danny. We're going to jump into our next caller, and our next caller joining us on the YouTube page here is none other than Savage, 80's dad. Hello, sir.
Hey, Jumpin Jay, Tommy, what's going on, my man?
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you guys made this change, man. Congratulations, and looking forward to the new format, and especially with guests coming on, man. I got a lot of memories of Danny Davis.
Well, hopefully you'll have a chance to talk with him. Like I said, he's supposed to be here in about 5 minutes. Now, Savage 80's dad, did you have a chance to go to 80's Wrestling Con this past weekend? Have you been to any wrestling conventions in the past?
So I didn't go this weekend. I am in a real busy season right now. I'm coaching my son's travel baseball, his rec baseball. My daughter's in theater. Like every weekend has been jam-packed. But I have gone to 80'swrestling.com, 80's Wrestling Con in the past, and I brought my whole family with me. It was my wife, my 3 kids, and it was awesome. I mean,
Which one did you go to?
It was the one where Jesse Ventura was the headliner.
Okay.
And this was what was it? Probably like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Tommy, I'm dating myself here, but
I believe it was 3 years ago.
Okay, yeah, in Morris, the Men in Arena, I believe.
Yep.
Or am I just making? All right. Yeah. So I'm not a big convention type person. I'm more of a, the introverted side of me likes to. I watch wrestling, it's part of my thing with my boys and everything. I collect wrestling figures. I'm not really big on like crowds and stuff like that. So to get me to go to something like this is a push. But it was awesome. And you're just walking around. Wrestlers are walking, the fans are with the wrestlers. There's not like a big separation there. And I'm just, randomly bumping into other wrestling fans that I've met online but haven't met in person. One that jumps out at me is Mike, the guy who does the Dusty Rhodes impersonation, the polka dot Dusty Rhodes. And he was in full character. He's talking to my kids. And he's like, yeah, baby, your kids are living the American dream because your daddy loves you. And it was just awesome. We took a picture with
He's
him.
great.
He is. He's incredible. And now, we're connected on social media. He's a good guy. Um, we met Coco Beware, and that was an awesome moment because we must have had like a 20-minute conversation with Coco. My kids are talking to him because they recognize him as the Birdman, the guy with the bird. Daddy has your wrestling figure at home. And then, they're asking him, like, where's Frankie? And then, he told them, unfortunately, Frankie's not around anymore. But he was great, man. He's, like fake wrestling with my kids. He took a photo with us. I had a conversation with him. I was like, man, when I was growing up, I tried to do the Ghostbuster on my friend, and I got in a lot of trouble for that. And he was like, "Oh, brother, you should have got a lot of trouble." He's like, I hope your dad whooped you for that." It was awesome. And I got to thank him, and I was like, "Hey, man, thank you for the memories." And just to get that kind of personal connection with these guys that we grew up with, that a lot of us see as, part of our childhood and our heroes, and then get to see them later on and to be able to have a conversation and thank them. It's incredible. And just one other anecdotal story too. My middle son was chasing after my daughter in the hallway, and I'm running after them. I'm like, stop running. And my little guy almost takes out Jake Roberts, who's like walking to the men's room. And he almost trips Jake. And I'm like, oh shit, Jake, man, I'm so sorry about that. And he was like, brother, don't worry about it. It's just a boy being a boy. I was like, nah, I thank you, Jake. And I was like, thank you for the memories. He was like, yeah, man, appreciate it. He was like, is that your son? I was like, yeah, no, it's my son and that's my daughter. And he was like, oh, you have a beautiful family, man. God bless you. And it was just, something cool like that, man. Like having like a human experience with this guy who was larger than life growing up, was like, a cult figure, a villain, someone I idolized and hated, and just having like this very human conversation with him.
That's great. Hey, listen,
Man, you can't
while
beat
you're
that.
still on, we're going to give you another opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation, because joining us on the
Yes.
line right now is the most hated referee in the history of wrestling. And he was someone, as a kid, I hated. I remember going to the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and seeing him and George Steele main event inside of a steel cage. He was part of the Hart Foundation, and he will be at 80's Wrestling Con in New Jersey on Halloween. Joining us right now, Dangerous Danny Davis. Danny, good morning, and welcome to
Hey, dude, what's
80's
going
Wrestling,
on?
the podcast.
How you doing, kid?
How are you, sir?
Can you hear? Oh, I'm all right. I'm doing fine.
Awesome. We
Looking
appreciate
forward
you.
to yeah, I'm looking forward to getting down to Parsippany there. There's a great wrestling family that comes out of there. There's some oldies.
Yes, Mario was actually at 80's Wrestling Con. We had it this past weekend, Danny. He was there. He just came to hang out and see everybody. And he'll definitely be at the next one too, so you get a chance to see him. We're on the line
Oh,
with one of our
good.
fans right now. And any questions you want to ask Danny while you're on the line with us?
Back to me, guys.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Back.
yes. Danny, it's an honor and a pleasure, my man. Like Tommy said, I truly despised you when I was growing up. You would get me riled up. The British Bulldogs were my favorite tag team of all time, and you cost them a title. And if I'm being honest, I still have a little bit of grief because of that. But I just want to say, I mean, you'll go down as one of the heels that I'll remember from my childhood, man, because you were so good at your job. And I hope to be at the next at Con, get to meet you in person. But not really a question for you, man. I just want to thank you for the memories, and thank you for being part of my childhood.
Well, that's important to me, for people to remember what took place, and to continue being fans of us. As you know, everybody knows, they were getting fewer and fewer of us every day or every week. Unfortunately, Everybody gets older, everybody gets sick, and people pass. And it's unfortunate. But I always said, and it's still true today, that without fans, there are no wrestling. There is no wrestling. In fact, the wrestling fans of our time were supporting us in such a big way that when I got my opportunity to do what we did with the Heart Foundation and stuff, I was so pleased. And one of the things that one of the great wrestlers of the era, Chief Jay Strongbow, who took me under his wing and taught me a lot, always told me that if there were 100 people in there or 100,000, you give them 100%. Reason being that most of the fans were just general people who worked in McDonald's or Burger King or pump gas, and they saved their dimes and nickels to come to see us, and to be sure that everybody gives 100% every night, not for yourselves or any glory, but for the fans. And I still feel that way today. But I thank you. I don't know, what's your name?
John. I go by Savage 80's dad on here. But
all right. But anyway, I appreciate you remembering us and supporting us still. And I'm looking forward again to going to Parsippany in New Jersey. I haven't been there in a long time. And thank you. Thank you for being a fan.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you, Danny.
All right, brother.
All right, we are live on 80's Wrestling, the podcast, with none other than Dangerous Danny Davis. And Danny, we have callers lined up to get a chance to talk with you because you were involved in some of the most memorable angles and one of the most memorable characters of the golden era of that professional wrestling. Up next on the Wrestling Collectors Slam Line, all the way from the sunny Chico, California, it is Babyface Brian. Brian, thanks for joining us. You are live with Dangerous Danny Davis.
Thanks so
Brian,
much.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, thank you, Danny. I just wanted to pull up a memory. The very first show that I ever attended was December 5th, 1986 in Sacramento at the old Arco Arena, and you were part of the main event. We got to the show, and we didn't realize that you were the specially assigned referee for Cowboy Bob Orton going up against Rowdy Piper after Rowdy Piper had turned babyface, and I got all worried because I was sure that you would cost Roddy the match. And at the end of it, after Piper had won and you had counted 3, he forced you to get on the microphone and tell the crowd that he was the winner. And man, just what a magical night and a magical memory. And I just wanted to also thank you for all that you contributed to that great era of my fandom and just say, like I say, what a memorable presence you were for me.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. Again, I don't want to be repetitive, but as a wrestling fan, I appreciated you also. Taking the time to come and watch and supporting everything we were doing, and we were doing it for you. So thank you.
Yeah, and I also want to congratulate you. I've ordered up this for the rest of the month, for the rest of May, at majorbendies.com or collectmajor.com. They've got a Danny Davis LJN style figure up for sale that's got your wrestling gear on it. It looks fantastic. I've ordered mine. I've waited for just under 40 years to see you in that old rubber 8-inch wrestling figure style action figure as a collector. So I'd encourage everybody to go over and get one for themselves. I think it ends up shipping around January. But congratulations on that wrestling figure and other wrestling figures that you've had recently where you've kind of joined into this other realm of fandom of being a collectible figure.
Yeah, it's Title Run Toys. They did me as a wrestler. They did me as a referee. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I think that they're both qualities. Both of them are quality figurines, action figures. I think that we have finally hit a pinnacle in that industry where you can really appreciate all they put into it. So if you get a chance to go to Title Run Toys or like you said, this is important for us to be remembered. And these people that are putting these figures out, these action figures out, are very good people. I had long conversations with them before I agreed to do this stuff. So again, I have 2 out now, and I think that in the future, it will probably be the last one that I get to do because of all that's going on in the contracts that we've signed. So yeah, go to Title Run Toys or the other outlet and buy these things. It's important for all of us to be remembered, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate the question I have is, did you enjoy your time?
You're breaking up. I'm sorry.
Yep, Babyface Brian, I think we dropped your call. Danny, before we jump into the next fan call, we're talking about wrestling conventions today with Tommy Fierro, who puts on the 80s Wrestling Con, which you will be attending on October 31st. I would just love to get your perspective as a legend from the world of wrestling. How do you feel about these wrestling cons and the opportunity to mingle with fans, see guys that maybe you haven't seen in years? From a performer standpoint, what do you guys think of these type of wrestling conventions?
Well, let me say this, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you're a wrestling fan in that era, you're getting old as well as we are. And as I said earlier, that there are getting fewer and fewer and fewer of us still around. Before all of us are gone, if you're a fan of that era, I would suggest strongly to get to these conventions, because it may be the last time that you are able to get an autograph, an action figure, a just conversation, question and answer, or whatever. So I am all for these wrestling conventions. Unfortunately, it's a little tougher for us to get to these conventions all the time. But I think they're very important to carry on what we did back in the wrestling era, my era, and I think it's important that it be remembered. So yeah, I'm all for these wrestling conventions.
Well, from a fan's perspective, we are so excited that you guys do this, and it gives us an opportunity, like you said, to meet you, to ask you questions, to hear stories, and just meet the larger-than-life characters that we grew up watching on TV. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live with the one and the only Dangerous Danny Davis. Hit that call-in button to get on the air. Up next on the Slam line, none other than the rookie, Edwin. Edwin, good morning, sir. You are live with Dangerous Danny Davis.
All right. First of all, can you guys hear me? I don't want to end up like a... Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Edwin.
All right, nice. Because I didn't want to, Babyface had a little bit of audio troubles with his call, but, I'm very glad to be on here. I'm even more glad to talk to Danny Davis. And, I didn't start watching wrestling after you joined the Hart Foundation. So, when it comes to the memories, I really did remember you more as just kind of like that neutral referee, and you're wrestling Ronnie Garvin and that type of stuff. And personally speaking, I just want to also say, because you were bringing up the fact that a lot of these wrestlers are getting older, and time's catching up with all of us, not just wrestlers, but just people from that era. And I always just said that when it comes to that type of stuff, especially when it comes to people who worked in television and the marketing and the merchandising, I recently watched Honky Tonk Man's Hall of Fame speech. I watched it a couple years ago, and he kind of was talking about something where what we did is just going to live forever. And the fact Danny is getting another action figure, and it's 2026, and just we're all just still talking about him, and we're talking about the Hart Foundation, we're talking about the British Bulldogs, and Jack Tunney firing him in on Superstars, so it just, that stuff just, it lives forever. So when wrestlers talk about sometimes we're forgotten, and time is gone, it's been so long, I don't think that. I think that what you guys did is something that is going to live forever, and people are going to be telling their kids about it, and watching that era specifically, because that was such a big era, arguably the biggest era in wrestling history. So I think for you, Danny, you're just, a legend in the industry. I think you were an original too with the heel referee gimmick. So I think for all of us, we just want to say thank you. And, you're going to be, we're always going to be talking about you.
Well, the platforms, these platforms are important to keep that memory alive. And again, the conventions also will keep that era alive as long as it can be. But as you pointed out, and I pointed out, that we're all moving on in age, and it's going to be tougher and tougher for fans of that era to get autographs or just talk to us or whatever. And I'm being repetitive, but it's very, very important to have these platforms and promoters that want us to come and be there, and the fans to get an opportunity to ask the questions that maybe have been nagging at them for a long time, and get it right from the horse's mouth as to what really happened, and get the true answers. Because on some of these platforms you get a lot of stuff that isn't true or made up or whatever. Tommy, who's a good promoter, I've worked for him before, and I would work for him anytime. He's the one that has a whole store down there in New Jersey with all the products that through the years have been done for us, books, pictures, action figures, or whatever he can get his hands on. He's one of the ones that are keeping this era alive, along with other promoters in these conventions. So
Thank you, sir.
you for being with me.
Yeah, if I may jump into, I think Tommy doesn't just do it well for the wrestlers. I think he does a good job for the fans too, because there was a time in my life where I kind of quit watching wrestling for like 3 years, and even the current product, I'm not really too passionate about it. I don't watch it every week, but when it comes to this podcast and talking about the 80s wrestling, and then obviously your contributions to the industry as well, it also revigorates our interest in just not just wrestling, but like your era of wrestling. So it keeps you guys relevant. And, when you go to signings, people may not watch the current product. They just only care about, the nostalgia and the good days, which was really your era. So I think Tommy does a wonderful job, not just for you, but also the fans as well.
Well, my opinion on that is this. There were people, great people who came before us, the Bruno Sammartinos, all those guys of the past that set the stage for us. Without them, there would be that era, our era wouldn't exist. Those guys sacrificed more than anybody will ever imagine, having been in that industry and listening to their children, their sons talk about their father's era and stuff like that. I talked about the Savoldis on the opening here, and his father, Angelo, was here with Bruno and George Steele and Baron Cicluna. I mean, the list goes, Jay Strongbow, even further back than that, beautiful Bobby. I mean, it's just, they set the stage. Each era set the stage for the next. And unfortunately for us, the fans we're the marks and the fans are the ones. I mean, it's been reversed, in my opinion, of the new era. But it is something that has evolved in that direction. I have no, I don't watch it. I have looked at it and have met some people that are in it. But you look at the guys like when I first started going, the Baron Ciclunas, just to name a few, they're huge men. And I want to say this, Vince McMahon knew at some point he was going to run out of these big guys. So that's why he gave smaller, let's just say smaller guys in stature, a chance to, first of all, bring the children of the older parents into wrestling. So myself, Coco Ware, Sam Houston, the smaller frame guys, he was educating a new audience into coming into wrestling matches, because he knew at some point he was going to run out of big guys to carry on the tradition. So in that respect, the things today that are happening today, again, it's an evolution of wrestling, not to my liking per se, but it is what it is, and it still keeps wrestling, the name wrestling, alive, in my opinion.
If I may, can I just ask one question? I know we still have a lot of people in the slam line. Can I just ask one last question, if that's okay, with Jay?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it, Edwin.
Sure.
So, I'm a huge Saturday Night's Main Event fan. That to me was the greatest wrestling show of all time. And you were on a couple of those, and I think you wrestled on one of them with George Steele. It was like a very short match. But what was it like being on NBC in the 1980s, national television, wrestling under those very bright lights and all those banners around the arena and that hot crowd? What do you remember most about Saturday Night's Main Event?
Well, let me say this. We did so many TV productions. One was just like the other. It was a job. We went there. We did what we were supposed to do. We didn't think about who it was being done for, what venue it was being done for. We went out and we did our job, no matter where we were. What it was like is just another day at the office, so to speak. We just went out, did our thing, and hopefully the network liked it and picked it up. I mean, we had some restrictions that were asked of us not to do. So because of the venue we were doing, but one was just like the other. It was just another night entertaining the crowds.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny, and thank you guys for letting me on here. Thanks so much.
All right, Edwin. Have a good one. Be safe. Hope to see you soon.
Edwin, thank you so much for joining us. Up next to talk with Danny Davis on the Wrestling Collector Slam Line, it's time for the world's most dangerous caller. It's time for Jason. Oh, Jason, I'm going to have you mute your YouTube before I bring you on. Got a little bit of an echo there, so we're going to go next in line on the Slam Line. It's time to talk to Rosie. Rosie, you are live with Dangerous Danny Davis.
Stop it. I am? I didn't know I was having to talk to him.
Are you wanting to be on the air with Danny Davis, Rosie?
Well, Danny is a personal friend, and I love him dearly. I've been his friend for about 50 years, and I just happened to see this was on, and I'm so happy to hear his voice and to hear that he's still current, and his fans are loving him. His Facebook pages are just booming. He's got thousands of followers. He should have thousands more. He's a fine up-and-up guy, and all I can add is when we were growing up, all of us young teens, and Dan was the one we all knew would go someplace. He was never one to be, just stick around and do the same old the rest of his life. He went out there and he fought the fight, and he's just an all-around great guy. I'm just actually moved to know him on a personal level, not just watch him in all these professional fights and all. So I guess that's all I wanted to add. I'm really just, I didn't know that.
Well, you're not going to say hi, Rosie?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Dan.
How you doing? Thank you for calling in. Yes, Rose is a long-time close personal friend of mine. She's followed me throughout my career. She lives up there in New Hampshire, where I was originally booked from. And yeah, she's been a long-time close personal friend, and I love her dearly. And she's a great person also. Thank you for calling in, Rose.
I didn't know I was calling in. How do I get out of? How can I just listen and not be a call-in? But
I'll take you off the air, Rosie. But we do appreciate you calling in, and it's great to hear somebody that knew Danny Davis before he became Dangerous Danny Davis. Danny, we do have another caller waiting on hold, but before we get to him, I'd love to ask you: did you enjoy being a referee, a manager, or an on-screen character more?
All of the above. I mean, one led to the other. I'm going to just say I have a book out that explains all that and goes all through that, but it was a job. Each job had its own way of evolving into what happened with me. I mean, you know, I went from referee, I set up the rings and chairs and stuff like that, to ring crew, to doing the concessions, working in the office a little bit, a short time. Then I went to Mr. X, and then I went to Dangerous Danny Davis. And then, of course, all that one led to the other, and it was a job. It was you know, you have to be there. That was the key. There was no excuses. If you were ring crew, if you were doing the concessions, if you were a referee, if you were a wrestler, you had to be there no matter what. And we went through a lot of, which people probably don't know. There was a lot of times that you thought that you wouldn't make it, but you did. And that was the key to being successful in the wrestling business. So one was led to the other, and it was kind of all, if I hadn't done what I did, like starting out the bottom, I wouldn't have realized how important it is. And not for us, but for the fans. Once you are booked in an arena, or even if WWF back at the time booked a show in the arena, and I didn't show up with a ring, or someone didn't show up and they had to cancel the show, you're not going to, people next time are going to say, well, yeah, they keep saying they're coming, and then they cancel and stuff like that. So it was very, very important. And to be there, everybody, the wrestlers, the ring crew, the agents, the ring, the chairs, and you had to be there. That's the key to the success of Vince McMahon's WWF, and onward from there.
Danny, real quick before the last caller jumps in, I wanted to ask you. You said you worked briefly in the office. What were you doing back then, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, when Vince had the Cape Cod Coliseum, I was refereeing. I was Mr. X, and I was doing concessions. And they had another group of people doing the ring at the time. So they moved me into the concession part of it, and along with that, the other two things. But I was in a learning product. I would order the concessions, the books, the pitches, everything related to concessions, and then I would go to each venue and with the concessions, before we began to ship them, with a truck full of pictures, books, magazines, whatever we needed. And I would go into the building early, and they had a concession office there, and I knew everybody there. I would come in, we would count everything at the beginning, then they would have people sell it, or I would have people come in and sell it. And then at the end of the event, we would cash out. We would count and see what was sold, and then they would give me the money for what we sold. It would go back to the office. They got their cut, a percentage of their of the take. So that was basically what I would do. And during the show, I would referee, and then I would come out as Mr. X. So I wouldn't have to take down the ring and the chairs and all that. I would be able to get to the next venue and count everything up and take that time. I was probably the first one in the building and the last one out of the building. So that's what I did in the office. And it was a brief thing. It was like Vince was building his crew, and I was took that spot to fill in until they hired someone when it grew bigger, and I didn't have time to do that.
Incredibly interesting to hear kind of the backstage stories, and to see everything that goes on to producing that live show that us as fans just get to sit back and enjoy all the work that goes on behind the scenes. So interesting to hear. We got one last caller that's been waiting in the wings. Hopefully he's got his YouTube channel muted. It's time for the world's most dangerous caller. It's time for Jason. Jason, good morning, brother. You are live with Dangerous Danny Davis.
Hey, brother, what's going on? The most dangerous caller, are you there? I guess not.
Jason, can you unmute your microphone, my friend?
Do you hear me now?
Jason, welcome to the program.
Good talking with you, Danny.
All right. You have any questions for me or comments?
Well, there was one caller in here. He read the question. Do you still keep in contact with Brett or Jimmy Hart anymore?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jimmy Hart mostly. I see Jimmy at most of the conventions. I don't know why they don't book us together, but he has his agenda and his schedule. And a lot of times it clashes with mine. So, I mean, there's only 3 of us left out of the Hart Foundation. And a lot of people don't realize. I mean, Jimmy, I talk to him more than most. He's a close personal friend of mine. And Brett, I see at the conventions, and we do talk. I mean, it's always cordial, and it's always great to see. It's like these conventions to a lot of us are like Thanksgiving. You know, you go to someone's house, all the family's there, and then when it's over, you go home and you start to live your life, going back to work and etc. So yeah, to your answer, yes, Jimmy Hart mostly.
Well, that's good. I mean, glad you're still in contact with them.
Yes, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Jason, anything
Any
else for
questions?
Dangerous Danny?
No, I don't have anything else for him. It's nice to talk to you, and I want to thank him for the memories.
And thank you for being a fan. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. All the fans that.
Yeah, you're welcome, Danny. I mean, you guys. I mean, there's not too many. Like you said, just seems like days and days, and we lose guys. And luckily, you're still with us, Danny.
Well, let's hope that the Creator keeps me around a little while so I can be at these conventions and see the fans that I appreciate more than you would know.
I appreciate it, Danny.
All right. Have a good day, my brother.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us. Tommy Fierro, take it over, brother.
Well, Danny, I just want to thank you again for taking time out. Sorry, this is our first week live on this new app, so we're having some live growing pains figuring out how to work it, but we appreciate you coming on. And anyone out there listening today that is interested in Danny Davis's book, you can head on over right now to Amazon and pick up your copy. It's called Mr. X, the real life story of Dangerous Danny Davis, available now on Amazon. And again, you can meet Danny Davis at 80's Wrestling Con on Halloween in Parsippany, New Jersey at the Parsippany PAL. Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, and I look forward to seeing you soon, sir.
Well, they can also get my book on my website, Dangerous Danny Davis, on Facebook. There's a store there, and I wish they would friend me there. I've got thousands of followers. They could follow me again at dangerousdannydavis.com.
Yes, and I follow your Facebook page. I love anyone out there that loves the old insert sheets that when you used to go to the wrestling shows back in the day, they'd put it in the middle of the program. Danny's been posting a lot of those lately, seeing those old cool cards. So definitely follow Dangerous Danny Davis on Facebook as well. Danny, thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you soon, sir.
Tommy, stay in touch, and thank you, brother, for taking care of us.
Yes, sir. Have a great day, sir.
All right, bye.
All right, there you have it. Dangerous Danny Davis, our first live guest on our Growing Pains episode of 80's Wrestling, the podcast. Jumpin Jay, I think we're going to figure this out next week. I think it's the first time this week that we're doing this on this platform. I think the listeners will figure out how to work it and get it going. Great episode, a lot of insight on Danny Davis. Now that we're able to have guests, I am going to do my best, and I texted Jay this off the air as the show was going on. I'm going to do my best to have a guest on each and every week right here on 80's Wrestling, the podcast, so our loyal listeners can have the opportunity to talk one-on-one with their childhood heroes, Jumpin Jay.
That would be incredible because having Dangerous Danny Davis join us this morning, just an awesome opportunity to connect with somebody from our childhood, from that golden era of wrestling that we absolutely love. And I think for our first show, a little bit of growing pains, but I think this new format's going to work out great. Callers, when you call in, just make sure you mute your YouTube page behind you. Firefighter Brian suggested maybe turning off your Wi-Fi will help with maybe some of the feedback or the cutting out. But for our first show, Danny Davis, I'd call this a success, Tommy.
Absolutely. And I can assure you, I can promise you that next week, right here on 80s Wrestling the Podcast, we will have another guest from the golden era. I will promise you that 100%. Who it is, I don't know yet, but I can assure you there will be a guest here next week on the podcast. And again, head over to 80s Wrestling Con on social media later today. I'm going to be posting the videos of Coco Beware and the Rougeau brothers doing their live performances. So you can check that out and then follow 80s Wrestling Con on all forms of social media for upcoming events. Again, it's going to be on Saturday, October the 31st, Halloween in Parsippany, New Jersey. Jumpin Jay, I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. I told Boris Zukov, he said hello, by the way, last week in the 80s Wrestling Con. He sends his best to you and the family. And I hope you guys have a great holiday weekend. And we will catch you right here next week with another live episode with a special mystery guest from the golden era on 80s Wrestling, the podcast.